Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is FixerMed, and welcome back to my high-yield biochemistry review series for the USMLE Step 1, NBME CBSE, and NBME CAS Exams series. This will be part 6 of a multi-part video series detailing the entire biochemistry discipline in a high-yield manner. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on today's content. Alright, today we're going to be discussing all the apolipoproteins you need to know. So let's go ahead and start. Apolipoprotein A1, the main function of it is to activate lectin cholesterol acetyltransferase in HDL metabolism. Its role is to be the major structural protein in HDL, known as high density lipoprotein, and is deficient in hypoalpha-proteinemia, also known as Tanger disease. Apolipoprotein B48, its main function is to mediate chylomicron secretion from the intestine. Its role is to be present in chylomicrons and chylomicron remnants. It is deficient in abetolipoproteinemia, acanthocytes, clear droplets, and enterocytes. Apolipoprotein B100, its main function is to mediate the binding of LDL to LDL receptors. Its role is to serve as the main apolipoprotein in LDL. There is only one molecule per LDL particle. This enables the clearance of cholesterol from blood. Moving on. Apolipoprotein C2. Its main function is to be the activator of lipoprotein lipase. This hydrolyzes triglycerides. Its role is to be found in the chylomicrons, VLDL, very low density lipoproteins, and HDL. Apolipoprotein C2 is deficient in familial hyperchylomicronemia, or deficiency of LPL. Apolipoprotein C3, this one's a little bit more low yield but shows up on retired step questions, so I'm still going to discuss it. Its main function is to be an inhibitor of lipoprotein lipase and hepatic lipase. Its role is to be present in chylomicrons, VLDL, and HDL. Apolipoprotein E. Its main function is to mediate the remnant uptake, chylomicron remnants and VLDL remnants by the liver. Its role is to be found in chylomicrons, VLDL, IDL, known as intermediate density lipoprotein, and HDL. Let's move on to our first NBME application-based reasoning question. A researcher is conducting a study on pyruvate carboxylase. Which of the following molecules is found to increase the activity of this enzyme? Alright, pretty straightforward question. If you're still thinking about your answer, just go ahead and pause the video and keep thinking about it. I'm about to move on. Moving on now. Pyruvate carboxylase is an enzyme involved in gluconeogenesis and the conversion of pyruvate to oxaloacetate. Acetyl-CoA serves as a positive allosteric regulator of pyruvate carboxylase, enhancing its activity. Acetyl-CoA is a key intermediate in the metabolism of carbohydrates and fatty acids, indicating the need for increased oxaloacetate production when cellular energy needs are high. Therefore, the answer to this question is A, acetyl-CoA. Pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and explain why the other answer choices are wrong. B, ATP. ATP is not a direct regulator of pyruvate carboxylase. While it is involved in various cellular processes, it does not specifically modulate the activity of this enzyme. C, NADH. NADH is not known to directly influence pyruvate carboxylase activity. NADH is more commonly associated with redox reactions in cellular respiration. D, fumarate. Fumarate is not a known regulator of pyruvate carboxylase. It is involved in the citric acid cycle but does not have a direct impact on the activity of this particular enzyme. Let's move on to our next NBME application-based reasoning question. We have a 2-month-old infant that presents with hepatosplenomegaly, a history of cardiopulmonary arrest following a hypoglycemic episode, decreased serum glucose, and reduced serum ketones. The administration of medium-chain triglycerides improves the patient's condition. What is the most likely diagnosis? pretty straightforward question as well. If you guys need a little bit more time, just go ahead and pause the video here. I'm about to move on. I'm moving on. The patient's presentation with hypoketotic hypoglycemia and improvement with medium chain triglycerides points towards a fatty acid oxidation disorder. Since medium chain triglycerides improve the condition, it rules out MCAD deficiency. The absence of improvement with long chain triglycerides makes carnitine deficiency less likely. LCAD deficiency is the correct answer as it specifically affects the oxidation of long chain fatty acids. Therefore, the answer is long chain acyl-CoA dehydrogenase, LCAD deficiency. Explaining why the other answer choices are wrong. A. Carnitine deficiency. Carnitine deficiency would affect the carnitine shuttle, preventing the movement of fatty acids from the cytosol to the mitochondria. Neither medium chain nor long chain triglycerides would improve the condition. B. Medium chain acyl-CoA dehydrogenase, MCAD deficiency. MCAD deficiency is ruled out by the improvement with medium chain triglycerides. Patients with MCAD deficiency cannot efficiently process medium chain triglycerides. D. Pyruvate carboxylase deficiency. Pyruvate carboxylase deficiency primarily affects gluconeogenesis and is not associated with hypoketotic hypoglycemia. E. Glucose 6 phosphatase deficiency. Glucose 6 phosphatase deficiency is associated with glycogen storage diseases and is not likely to present with the specific symptoms described in this vignette. Moving on to our next question. A 3-month-old infant is diagnosed with a disorder characterized by the inability of epinephrine to liberate fatty acids for energy. Which hormone is likely deficient in this patient? Give you guys a few seconds to think this through. All right, I think I gave you guys enough time. If you need more time, pause the video. I'm moving on now. The described disorder indicates a deficiency in hormone-sensitive lipase. Hormone-sensitive lipase is catabolic and plays a key role in liberating fatty acids from adipocytes into the bloodstream. It is activated by hormones such as epinephrine, cortisol, and glucagon. The inability of epinephrine to liberate fatty acids suggests a deficiency in hormone-sensitive lipase activity. Therefore, the answer is B, hormone-sensitive lipase. Let's go ahead and see why the other answer choices are incorrect. A, epinephrine. Epinephrine is not deficient in this scenario. Rather, the issue lies in the downstream signaling or activity of epinephrine, likely involving HSL, hormone-sensitive lipase. C, cortisol. Cortisol is mentioned as one of the hormones that activates hormone-sensitive lipase. Deficiency in cortisol would not explain the inability of epinephrine to liberate fatty acids. D, glucagon. Glucagon is also mentioned as a hormone that activates hormone-sensitive lipase. Deficiency in glucagon would similarly not explain the observed disorder. E, lipoprotein lipase. Lipoprotein lipase is involved in anabolic processes moving triglycerides from the bloodstream into adipocytes. Its deficiency would not result in the described inability of epinephrine to liberate fatty acids for energy. All right, moving on to the next question. A 3-month-old infant presents with acanthocytes seen on blood smear, and an intestinal biopsy reveals large clear droplets within the enterocytes. What is the most likely diagnosis? All right, I'm about to move on. If you need to pause the video, pause it now. Moving on now. The presentation of acanthocytes, spur cells, on blood smear and large clear droplets within enterocytes is indicative of abetalipoproteinemia. This rare genetic disorder is characterized by a deficiency in apolipoprotein B48, leading to impaired chylomicron formation and subsequent failure of chylomicrons to exit enterocytes. Therefore, the answer is C, abetolipoproteinemia. Let's go ahead and run through why the other answer choices are wrong. A, familial hypercholesterolemia. Familial hypercholesterolemia is characterized by elevated levels of LDL cholesterol, but it does not present with acanthocytes or the specific intestinal findings described. B, Tangier disease. Tangier disease is associated with low levels of high-density lipoprotein, cholesterol, and its presentation does not include acanthocytes or the mentioned enterocytic droplets. D, chylomicronemia syndrome. Chylomicronemia syndrome typically involves elevated levels of triglycerides and chylomicrons in the blood, but the specific findings of acanthocytes and enterocytic droplets are not characteristic of this syndrome. E, lipoprotein lipase deficiency. Lipoprotein lipase deficiency would result in impaired triglyceride hydrolysis leading to elevated chylomicrons in the blood. However, it does not explain the acanthocytes seen on blood smear or the intestinal findings described in the vignette. That will be all for this video. I hope you guys learned a lot from this video and reviewed a lot of content. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. As always, this is FixerMed signing off. Have a great day, everyone. Goodbye.